Welcome to the ancient mythology or not?
Continuation. I heard this story when I was a teenager. Aunt Safiko, a neighbor, lived in our stairwell. We called her Aunt Sophie. She was a purebred Georgian, a very kind and faithful friend of my mother. Do you know such mothers' friends who can sit and chat in the kitchen for hours? Mom said, "Daughter, I'm with a neighbor for 10 minutes, just don't forget to turn off the meat in 40 minutes. Aunt Sophie was a woman of old views, pious, and believed in witchcraft slander lining. She lived all her childhood until her marriage in a Georgian village. This story happened somewhere in the Caucasus before the Second World War. The beautiful Layla lived in the village. Beauty, it's impossible to take your eyes off her, the face and the hair and the figure, everything was so complicated, like the daughter of the gods. Of course, such a beauty had no end to suitors, but as was usual with Georgians, her husband was assigned to her even before her birth. There was no more beautiful wedding of Layla and Dato in the village for a long time. Several generations of two ancient families walked, friends and neighbors in general. The whole village was at the wedding. The bride, as expected, made a solemn examination of the groom's house where she was to become the hostess. Accompanied by witnesses and guests, the bride and groom broke a beautiful plate in front of the entrance to the house for good luck, so that the house would be rich and the family would enjoy the offspring. Grains of cereals were thrown in the corners of the house, and the young were given wooden ornaments, Kuragdani, personifying the tree of life. During the tour of the house, Layla had to touch the cauldron, which is a symbol of the hearth, and walk around the pot of oil 3 times. But Dato's grandmother, for inexplicable reasons, did not allow this to be done. The guests, the bride and groom, went for a walk in the yard. Layla's grandmother was very unhappy that the initiation into the mistress of the house was not carried out to the end. For this or some other reason, hostility began among the women in the families. Despite all the inter-family gossip, Layla gave birth to her first child. The boy, a strong baby from birth, died in less than a year. After, Layla gave birth to 12 children. And each of her children died before reaching the age of 1, like the firstborn. From a beauty, Layla turned into an old woman, and at that time she was a little over 30. Dato was walking, and Layla, out of shame, did not go out into the street. From grief and sadness, Layla began to go crazy. Her mother and sisters noticed how she often talks to herself. Layla spoke to her dead children. She claimed that they were asking her not to sleep on the bed. They asked to drink, cry, constantly repeating, "Mom, I'm thirsty." Not far from the village in the mountains there was a lake, deep and cold. Grandmother sent Layla to this lake to drink water and swim alone without garters, in one shirt, with her hair loose. And after bathing return home, and for 3 days no one should have bread or matches. All these 3 days Layla did not get out of bed. A strong fever tormented her body. She cried out from time to time. She carried nonsense. In the feather bed the devils dance and whisper, whisper, circle me. Dato, Dato, open the feather bed with a dagger, save me. Relatives gathered in the guest room. Layla's sisters and mother were crying. Old like a dry head, grandmother Dato did not let her husband go to his wife's bed. All said, "The girl comes out, her hour has come, women's affairs. You have nothing to look at, dying." At the end of the 3rd day, Dato came pretty tipsy. Despite the instructions of his grandmother, He entered the bedroom, took Layla in his arms, pressed him to him. She quietly still asked to open her feather bed. Unable to withstand her request, he ripped the entire feather bed up and down. Feathers and down flew all over the house, and a bundle resembling a bloody rag fell at Dotto's feet. When this package was unrolled, there was a baptismal shirt and a baby blanket pierced with needles. From this find, Dotto recrumbled all the furniture in the bedroom. It was a lining. They burned it in the mountains. They slaughtered a ram as if giving it as a sacrifice to the one who made the lining. Dotto and Layla lived together until old age, as is usual in the Caucasus. But there was no continuation of the family line in their family.
If you like this story, write in the comments. Subscribe so you don't miss the next story. She will be very soon.